Work this beard. Work this beard. Work this beard. Work this beard. Denzel Curry, fucking hell, I've been hyping up this album for like my entire life. Taboo is one of those albums that's been in the works for quite a while. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was some point last year people were talking about it and hoping it was going to get released. But finally, here we are. July 2018, it is here, and Denzel Curry, man, has had a pretty solid journey. I've been on his music for a while. I mean, pretty much since he came onto the scene, I was enjoying his singles he was releasing. Then, of course, he released Imperial, the fantastic album that was, came out in 2016. Then the EP last year. The EP last year was fantastic. I mean, it was showing progression and new ideas that proved that this guy was versatile and had a lot of potential. And so here we are with Taboo, and I've just been hoping that it would live up to the hype, and well, we'll see if it does. I mean, looking at the track list of this album, I was really put off by the way it was styled. I mean, he's got the actual title, and then he changes it, you know, and puts Z's and numbers in of each track, and it just looks like a mess. I feel like you should either have one or the other, not both next to each other, because it just looks terrible. So I was just like, what the hell is this album gonna be? Of course, though, that doesn't exactly represent what's on the album, because in fact the album is actually very good. I'll be honest, it hasn't quite lived up to the insane amount of hype that I personally had for this album. I was expecting this to be album of the year material, but it's still very good nevertheless. Now, a lot of this material basically leads off from where we last had Denzel Curry on his 13 EP. The production is pretty creative, it's pretty aggressive at times, but not too in your face. It's like the kind of right balance for the most part, I think. I do want to say though that the production feels a little tepid at times. Like, I thought we were going to get a lot of off-the-wall bangers. Like, this is a 13-track album. There are little acts that break up each little sections, and to be honest, there isn't really a whole lot of like banger-esque type stuff that's flooding this album. I kind of would have liked that. I mean, that's what Denzel does best, but a lot of the time you find a lot of these beats to be quite low-key and just lurking in the background, and they're not really the selling point of a lot of these songs. It's a bit of an issue for me though, because I think it leaves a lot of these tracks just to kind of fly by and not really hit me in the way I wanted them to. I think it'll be different for a lot of people. I think a lot of people will think a lot of these tracks hard hit, like in your face, but for me, I think we've heard more from Denzel in the past that's better than what we got here. I do think the album opens up with a really strong start though. I think Taboo is a fantastic opening track. It's showing that Denzel actually sings very well. His flow on the chorus is incredibly melodic, and I really like this track. I thought it was not going to work out with the way Denzel's singing, but it's actually incredibly sticky. Then we go into Black Balloons, which is actually a track that shows like quite a dark side to what's to come. I think some of the lyrics here sort of insinuate that it's kind of gonna get a little crazy as time goes on, and his mental health is just kind of gonna go further down and down and down this rabbit hole of like non-existence, which I actually found really interesting that Denzel was taking this approach, because some of these tracks are a little heavier in the content. It's just a shame that I think Denzel doesn't handle it in the best way he possibly could. To be honest, I find most of his lyrics to kind of meander in ways that don't really interest me, and he doesn't really say a lot of the time. Like, he gets on features that do the choruses and do a few verses here and there, but I feel like we don't get a lot from Denzel, which is weird because he's constantly rapping at a speed that many other rappers don't often match. But like, it's kind of just listening to a guy just speedily rap, which sounds impressive, but when you unpack the lyrics, there's kind of not really much to take away. Denzel is a good rapper and he drops some bars every now and then, but yeah, I mean, often the ones that stand out are kind of a little weird, like Donald Trump, Donald Duck. Like, it's just a bit like, dude, come on, you can do better than that. It's not like he constantly drops terrible lines, but like, it's just a shame that the ones that stand out end up being the kind of lesser quality ones, you know? Like, there aren't really many hard-hitting moments where he says something and it's like, fuck. It's usually just flying by because he's just sounding so impressive at the speed that he's rapping, but yet, like I said, there's not really much to take away. One of the few tracks on this album to me that impresses me the most with the lyrics is PERCS, because PERCS is just like bar after bar of like truth bombs and fucking hilarious lyrics that just come out of nowhere. The part where he talks about rappers sounding like dur 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 and oh that's lit is hilarious, because you do realise that if you're listening to this song and you're actually a huge Playboi Carti fan, he's talking about you. He's talking about you. No, but in all seriousness, no, this track is fucking hard-hitting as hell, and the chorus comes in, and it's just fucking like gunshots, you know, the whole way. He is just at a speed that's just like pounding your head. And another track that also does this is SUMO. And SUMO, man, is, oh boy. SUMO is like the hardest hitting banger you'll hear all year. Like, man, if you think that like Tekashi 6ix9ine is the best you'll hear, listen to this song. This is better than anything that man will ever make. It is an absolutely ruthless song. It just, I can't explain it. It's a track that's actually quite hard to listen to, because sometimes it just hits you so hard that you just have to like take a break. Like, it's so pummeling, but it's amazing at the same time. I expected more of that on this album, not tracks like Clout Cobain, which to me isn't particularly very good in the way it sells itself. It's talking about a very important issue and how people deal with suicide and the mental health, which of course I've already mentioned that Denzel discusses on this album. But I think the way that he references Kurt Cobain is a bit simplistic, to be honest. I also don't think his singing sells all that well on the chorus, to be honest. Especially considering we had tracks like Taboo, where his singing is actually really good. I think his singing falls flat on this track, and it's a shame because it's actually quite emotional in what he's talking about, and I think this is the one track that he should have really got right. I've talked about this before on the channel, where like musicians will talk about something very heavy, very important, but they do it in such a basic way that just ends up feeling a little pointless. Like, I think it's got a point to it, but I think the way it's done is a bit half-assed, to be honest. I think if you're gonna do a track like this, you gotta hit hard and not just make a reference to Kurt Cobain because he's a man that committed suicide. Like, I think you need to go deeper into this topic if you're gonna do it. But to be fair though, this is one moment on the album that just didn't quite work for me, even though it does have its place, I think. But I just prefer tracks that went a little bit more raw and a bit aggressive and a bit straight to the point, like tracks like Switch It Up. I really love how the beat to this song is incredibly rapid, especially on the verses, but then when we get to the chorus, his flow slows down, but it actually works incredibly well as a chorus. It's not like sucking anything out of the song, it just flows incredibly well with the whole da 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 da, and it goes back into da 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 da. It just works so well with the beat, but yet usually this kind of stuff just fails and falls flat. But Denzel Curry has just got it. I mean, when he wants to make a banger that's creative and a little different, he's got it, man. We've also got an amazing feature from Jid on this album. That guy's got massive potential, man. I really think his next album's going to be fantastic. I really hope so anyway, because I Never Story was pretty cool, but I didn't quite love it. But I think Jid's next project is going to be just out of this world, and his feature was just so good, and it works so well in the song. Like, I didn't think these two would combine together, but it actually went over really well. Also, we have another feature on this album that I absolutely love. Billie Eilish. No, it's actually JPEG Mafia, which you all know I did not like his album apart from that one amazing song on there. But yeah, his flow on the song Vengeance, wow. The way his voice sounds is so good. Like, I can't believe how he sounds the way he does. I think he just needed like this kind of beat to be rapping over to make Veteran a lot better, in my opinion. I said in my review that, you know, the beats were a little amateur to me, and Veteran just didn't click with me at all. But like, if he had these kind of Denzel beats to ride over, I think his next album could be really good. Just the way he rhymes every word, the way he does, I think it's so well done. Like I think JPEG Mafia does a great job on this one. It's a shame the other feature though, Zilla Kami, like he comes right at the end of the song. And man, we could have done without that. We could have probably done with more JPEG Mafia on this track actually. I think that would have worked better than this random rapper that didn't really leave any impression. That's kind of another thing with this album too, like there are random features every so often that just like have no impact on me at all. On Cash Maniac, the Nigeria, I think her name is, you know, on that chorus, it sounds pretty stale to me. To me, she just sounds like your average guest feature on like a top 40 Billboard rap song. To be honest, I just think the way her voice is quite zany and a bit annoying. Doesn't really hit me in any kind of way. I know I haven't talked about every track here, but I do feel as though Denzel sort of gives us a very similar vibe across each song, even though a lot of them sound completely different to each other, but the flow of the album works incredibly well. And I think Denzel as a rapper just kind of keeps giving us the same thing on each track without it ever getting boring, but it doesn't really leave the biggest impression I think it could have. Like I've already said, he doesn't impress me all that much with his lyrics, apart from a couple of tracks that are incredible, but I just wanted a bit more throughout the whole album for this project to really live up to me. But yeah, do check it out. I think this is going to be a lot of people's album of the year, or up there anyway with one of the albums of the year. I think he can probably do better than this, to be honest. Stefan, you predicted what I'm going to give this album, which now means I hate you, but I am in fact going to give this album a 7 out of 10. I think it's a very solid album. Could have been better for me, but everything there is there to make something great, but just doesn't all add up, and I don't know what it is. Occasional hooks that don't work, occasional verses that leave me nothing, a few features here and there that feel a bit pointless. You know, I think this album probably could have been a lot better in my opinion, but Taboo for me is a 7 out of 10. Go check it out if you haven't already. I'm sure you will have by now. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. I hope you like this review. And yeah, have a good day. Work this beard. Work this beard.